Patrick McHenry, the chair of our Oversight Investigations Subcommittee.
Director Cordray, to follow the chairman's opening line of questions about your building renovation. Now, would you provide the committee with the occupancy agreement between the Bureau and the OCC?
I don't know that there'd be any reason why we could not provide that, and I'd be surprised if we haven't provided it, but I don't know offhand if we have or haven't.
You haven't.
So
if you would, that would be helpful for us to understand this.
Yeah, that was an agreement signed before I became director, but it's what we're going to be living under for the next 30 years. So.
No, even easier, since it's a 20-year contract that you've disclosed in your report. Now, the reason why we asked this is because you spend $12 million a year in rent. You disclose that, and we appreciate the fact you disclose that. We also know from a Treasury audit that the value of the building that you're occupying is $153.7 million as of 2011. And yet you're spending, first we find out $55 million based on your disclosures, then 95, then 150. So it looks very odd to us, and that's why we would like to know the details of this. Don't you think that's reasonable?
I do think that's reasonable,
okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And look, so then you said today that you'll actually have to move out of this building that you're leasing. You don't own, but you're leasing, and you're going to have to find temporary space.
Yeah, it's a very annoying problem for us, and it hasn't made anybody happy, including me.
Yeah, it does. But you think about the cost of it, and it seems a little insane that you're spending $150 million of taxpayer money and spending $12 million in rent, and you're not even going to be in it.
Look, there's much that I'm unhappy with about this situation. It's a building that's a deteriorated building. It's a classic sort of white elephant. It's going to cost a fair amount of money to bring it back up to standard. It's not that old.
Yeah.
Must have been used pretty heavily. I mean, it was built in the 70s or the 60s, I think.
Yeah,
but,
this place was, Kenny laid the cornerstone on this little building.
Yeah.
A little heavily used here, too. So anyway,
if I were a consumer, I would be complaining a lot about that building if I owned it.
If you'd provide us with the details of this temporary arrangement for space and what it's going to cost.
I think,
would you do that?
As you've seen,
not today, but
as you've seen, our budget and spending has become more and more transparent as we build up this agency. And all of that is available on our website each quarter.
Okay. And let me follow up on that.
Yeah.
I wrote you a letter beginning of the month. I appreciate you responding in a timely manner. You provided back, and my question, and I know you received letters, a few, and I understand that my letter request was about the details of your budget. You responded back with some links on your website, and I appreciate that. One was a newly issued report on your financials for the year. What I asked was the resource detail and operating levels detail within your budget. Now, the report you sent me a link to, I went to it, looked at it, and the level of detail there is fairly nonspecific. I'll give you an example. So what I'm asking for is a line item structure of this, and you have a $166 million line item that has 3 lines of description in order to add up to $166 million. And it has a great name, Prevent Financial Harm to Consumers While Promoting Good Practices That Benefit Them. I don't know that we oppose that idea. We'd just like to know what that is. Now, your Bureau has also done something I think is proper. You disclose contracts. So we're able to ask you about contracts, right? So I know that you spent $2.5 million to pay for web ads to drive traffic to your website. I know that, and I know who you contracted with, well-known firms. Now, I also know whether it's a no-bid contract, a bid contract, right? And I appreciate that.
And you've seen that we've done real emphasis on competition in our contracts.
And I appreciate that. I also see the no-bid contracts, and we could have questions about it. Now, as a policymaker, you're also spending a substantial amount in salaries and benefits. You disclose that, but not in the detailed level. In your budget estimates, we know you have 238 people working on one area. We don't know anything more than that. So what's going to happen to you is you're going to come before Congress. We're going to have a lot of questions about your contracts, even if you have enormous amounts of wasteful spending to the tune of $300-400 million a year, and we don't know the details of it. What I would ask you to submit to us is that budget line item that other agencies who have to go through the appropriation process submit on a regular basis. Would you submit that to our committee?
So what I would say is, as I said, the extent of detail of our budget has grown greater as we've been staffed
still
with the
insufficient,
agency
sir.
and have the ability to do that. It's my understanding that the amount of information we provide about our budget is comparable to that of other agencies, and we're now providing it on our website on a quarterly basis, which other agencies do not do. If you have other views about how much detail we should be providing, I'm happy to share
The
them.
time of the gentleman has expired. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Georgia, Mr.